Hello, friends and subscribers. Welcome back to another episode of Readings in Impact Investing. My name is Daniel Rosehill. This is a new podcast taking written material in the realm of impact investing and making it available in the format of audio. So today I decided to take a look at the case study library in the Government Outcomes Lab website, the GO Lab. We have encountered them a few times before. They're doing excellent work in keeping tabs on all the various forms of outcomes-based funding, including the development of the outcomes fund as a model, as well as individual SIBs and DIBs that are being undertaken. And I thought the case studies area of the website, I think it is very interesting. I'll leave a link to it in the description of this podcast because, as I've remarked a few times, I think that the case studies are really needed to bring this whole field to life, to understand exactly whose lives are being improved through impact investing when it works well. So this is called the Skill Mill, the one I thought I would do first today. And I'm just going to talk through what they have on their website. But just a note, firstly, that it was last updated in 23rd May of 2023. So there may be a few developments that weren't captured. But anyway, it should help us to get the gist of this program. So the Skill Mill is a social enterprise which employs young ex-offenders working on environmental projects across the UK. And the aligned SDGs are given as number 4, quality education, and number 8, decent work and economic growth. I mentioned the Indigo database before. This is the database that they've put together to keep track of all these bonds, impact bonds, as well as outcome funds, and they give identifiers as well for the various projects, which I think is very helpful. So just to mention, its Indigo identifier is Indigo POJ 0195, and they bundle these identifiers in various data sets. They have an impact bond data set. And Indigo also has a pipeline data set and an outcomes fund directory. And these can all be accessed freely at golab.bsg.ox.ac.uk. Okay, that didn't exactly roll off the tongue. So Government Outcomes Lab. And you can then find Knowledge Bank and Indigo, and you'll get access to all these. And these are completely open source. So the Commissioner, Birmingham's Children's Trust, Department for Culture, Media and Sport, a few different councils. The investors, a Big Issue Invest, Charities Aid Foundation Venturesome, North Star Adventures, Resonance West Midlands SITR Fund involved was Life Chances Fund UK, and the provider was the Skill Mill, as mentioned. This was launched in June of 2020. It has a duration of 4 years, and the capital raised was £1 million British, 252 service users. Target population, high-risk ex-offenders aged 16 to 18. The problem, while the number of young offenders and their reoffending rate has seen a large decrease over the last decade, more than 1 out of 3 young offenders commit reoffences in England and Wales. Historically, the youth reoffending rate has been higher than adults. In particular, 71% of juvenile offenders who commit more than 11 offences are found to reoffend within a year. These figures were supplied by the UK Ministry of Justice in 2022. Given the stigma attached to their criminal records, young offenders often struggle to access education, training and employment opportunities and risk being socially excluded. Recidivism not only comprises community safety but also poses complex challenges to local authorities as their reintegration to society and economy requires tailored and integrated support. The solution. The Skill Mill program has been launched to aid young people to break the cycle of reoffending against this backdrop of high juvenile recidivism. Built on the team's 2 decades-long experience as criminal justice practitioners, the Skill Mill offers young offenders 6 months of paid work placements in environmental maintenance within local communities. During this placement, participants can also gain nationally recognised qualifications, AQA Employability Skills Level 2, as well as other practical skills, thereby assisting their journey towards reintegration to the labour market and society. Their skill development is further supported by tailored mentoring and counselling. Upon completion of the placement, participants are encouraged to pursue further employment opportunities in local partner organisations and the wider job market. The Skill Mill's approach is underpinned by academic research investigating what works to reduce reoffending. In particular, criminological research suggests that the type of jobs matter. For instance, high-quality jobs are conducive to civic engagement and may contribute to reduction in delinquency. The Skill Mill began exploring opportunities for scaling the program in new areas in 2019 and introduced a social impact bond, partially funded by the Life Chances Fund, to deliver their services in 8 locations over 4 years in 2020. The income generated consists of outcome payments, 2/3, and revenues from local clients for completing outdoor work, which is 1/3 of the money. The impact. Outcome payment framework. The payment is linked to the achievement of the following 6 outcomes. 1 is preventing reoffending. Confirmation from police or another local agency with access to the police national computer that service user has not been reconvicted during this period, or confirmation from the YOT, the Youth Offending Team. Next, employment and further education. Letter from employer confirming full or part-time employment for service user, or confirmation from HMT that service user has registered as employed, or evidence of enrolment into a NVQ level Q or above training course. Program registration. Young person registers for the Skill Mill program by signing the registration form. Program completion. Service user has completed at least 4 weeks on the program with regular attendance of at least 75%, as evidenced by a daily attendance register. Qualification. Confirmation that from AQA the level 2 award has been achieved, and attendance. The service user has completed the Skill Mill program with regular attendance of at least 75% or completes 5 months of the program, but departs for purposes of entry into a job position. The reoffending rate will be compared with the figures published by the Ministry of Justice in the UK. In addition to the outcomes linked to payment, other associated outcomes that do not trigger payment are also measured. The figure below shows the mechanisms through which the Skill Mill program seeks to generate multiple benefits in the community, including environmental and economic benefits. Evaluation of the program prior to the launch of the SIB has demonstrated that the participants averaged fewer and less severe offences compared to a cohort who had not participated in the program. Over the course of 8 years, 274 young people participated in this program, and 20 participants have been reconvicted, offering the social return of investment (SROI) of approximately 12-1. Project insights. Number 1, community acceptance is critical for SIBs in the criminal justice field. Referrals to existing services and support for young offenders is often inadequate at preventing reoffending. David Parks, the founder and managing director of the Skill Mill, says, "Our primary aim is to create employment for the young people to re-engage positively with society. Providing young people with suitable employment opportunities to contribute to the local community can be a way to actively build community acceptance. As Parks and White note, all of us, young people, supervisors, residents and businesses, gain a better appreciation of the other and the positives that result from giving something back to the community. In effect, the program creates a psychological contract for achieving the common goal of social integration of young offenders between relevant stakeholders. Research findings in criminology suggest that having community ties, fulfilling employment, recognition of their value by others, and a sense of meaning and purpose in life all contribute to reducing the likelihood of reoffending. In practice, however, job opportunities for high-risk offenders can be limited unless there are well-functioning local networks within a community, committed to supporting their transition into employment. While community acceptance is elusive and difficult to quantify, job attainment can be a proxy metric that reflects the extent to which it has been achieved. Project Insight 2. Outcomes achievement can be a certificate of rehabilitation to facilitate the development of community partnerships. Bringing investors and local employers on board with offender rehabilitation practices can be time-consuming. One of the reasons is psychological reluctance in the community, generated through stigma and labelling of offenders. For instance, some may worry that hiring delinquents can be cumbersome. This is despite the fact that many people who have met them in person indicate that they have a positive impression of them. As a result, criminal justice specialist organisations are heavily reliant on government grants to provide rehabilitation services. Without efforts designed to address the offender label and stigma, delinquents may continue to lead lives that are disconnected from mainstream communities, unable to gain positive acceptance for their new non-offending identity. In this context, achievement of outcomes defined in the SIBs within the criminal justice field can be considered a certificate of rehabilitation to recognise offenders' efforts towards change. Through employment and community service, the Skill Mill program reaffirms participants of their non-offending identity. Contributing to the local community through valued environmental work can boost young people's confidence and their sense of belonging to the community. The program is also valuable to local communities as it promotes job creation in the green economy through environmental work while also enhancing community cohesion and resilience. By establishing an overarching vision for encouraging social integration of young people excluded from the labour market and defining outcome metrics that capture partners' diverse needs, the SIB has the potential to facilitate the development of community partnerships. 3. There is a need to consider indicators other than reoffending rate and adjust the programme to local contexts. As the early terminations of SIBs in the criminal justice field in the US and Australia suggest, reducing reoffending is extremely complex, not least because the effectiveness of the rehabilitation programs can depend on individuals' motivation to change their own life trajectories. Furthermore, criminological research findings suggest that the effectiveness of interventions is highly context dependent. This is particularly the case for community-based programs. What works in one region at a given time may not work well in another context. These challenges, combined with the general lack of familiarity with initiatives within the criminal justice field and the mixed success of previous initiatives, may all contribute to risk aversion among social investors and other stakeholders alike. When liaison with existing statutory services is crucial for service delivery, as was the case for the Skill Mill SIB, partnerships will be needed to be developed on a region-by-region basis. Skill Mill program has been designed on a bottom-up basis based on David and his team's nearly 20 years' experience as criminal justice practitioners. While the reoffending rate may be the obvious choice for an outcome metric in the criminal justice field, the context-dependent nature of rehabilitation programs necessitates other outcome metrics to be considered. Rather than solely targeting reduction in reoffending, the Skill Mill leverages the SIB framework to bring private actors into a local collaborative network by incorporating other metrics, including community acceptance. Such an approach has also been adapted by Portugal's Breaking Bars Farm SIB, in which the integration into the labour market is the only positive outcome indicator. This approach may be more practical than using the reoffending rate as the only outcome metric. And for those who want to really delve deep into this, there is the interim evaluation of the Skill Mill SIB available for download. And there's actually an entire download and resource library just for the SIB, youth justice statistics, the proven reoffending statistics, papers to read, etc. So this is just one of the SIBs in the case studies series, and there's a really nice schematic here of the social impact bond with the various players denoted. So again, if you want to see how a social impact bond actually works in real life with the different organizations and fulfilling different functions, check out this web resource and check out the case studies library on the Government Outcomes Lab website. They're doing tremendous work in bringing all this information together. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Readings in Impact Investing, hosted by myself, Daniel Rosehill. To get this podcast online, visit readingsinimpact.org, subscribe on your favorite podcatching app, or catch it on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Until the next episode.